I know where we can go, and it's all you and me. We'll kiss the sky goodnight. Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost. We'll get real lost again. Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost. We'll get real lost again. Just run away with me, darling. Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost. We'll get real lost again. Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost. We'll get real lost again. I know where we can go when the sunrise loves forever. And it's all you and me. We'll kiss the sky goodnight. Come get lost with me. 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 Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost. We'll get real lost again. Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost. We'll get real lost again. Just run away with me, darling. Just run away with me, darling. We'll get real lost.
Nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Okay, so hopefully, I know the audio cut off before. We're still reconfiguring stuff since we did the charity stream. Just give us a moment and we'll check to see if any audio is coming through. Perfect. Okay, audio is coming through. Hello, everyone out there. It's me with the crazy hair again. Well, who am I? Let me just move this chair over a bit. I am Sidepocket. I am one of the two co-founders of DEFCON 201. DEFCON 201 is a computer hacker group that is located out of Jersey City, New Jersey. So I throw that over there. We normally meet physically third Friday of every month, but because there's a deadly plague going around, and that's just the Americans running over police officers and crap like that, and police beating anyone who just looks funny. We've been virtually hosting our meetings. In fact, our next meeting will happen December 18th. That is next week, Friday. And it'll be our last meeting for 2020, and hopefully 2021 will be way better. If you want to find out more of that meeting, we're going to post all those details tomorrow. But if you also want to find out about like our general, like how we operate and everything at DEFCON 201, you can go to our website, which is defcon201.org. We're also all over social media, including our pretty popular Twitter, which is defcon21nj. And if you type in DEFCON 201 in Google or DuckDuckGo, you'll be able to find us on everything from Instagram to GitHub, all these crazy things. So, this is one of my two shows on here because in between meetings we like to stream other content. And this show is called Crypto Barons. And it's a little pet project of mine where we get to look at cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies as technologies. Meaning, while occasionally we get into a bit about markets and a bit about about like sort of the social aspects as crazy. If you hear crazy noises, that's either my roommates or crazy stuff going outside in Jersey City. But you know, we occasionally go into markets and the kind of the social aspect of cryptocurrencies, but what we're mainly focusing on is my hair is, wow, it's like extra crazy today, is all about coding and like you know, what type of code is it made out of, can you exploit it, how do things work, that sort of thing. This is where you learn. So unlike when you go on Twitch and it's just endless DeFi and cryptocurrency graphs, this shows about the actual technology in blockchain and cryptocurrency, talking about it. We did this show second and fourth Thursday of every month, and I just realized I'm missing this link. I have a missing link, and we just type this in. It's still putting our heads together here after the successful yet very unsuccessful stream that was the Cyberpunk 2020, which more ran to us like it was like Fallout 76. But what was I getting to? So we do this every second and fourth Saturday of the month. This is going to be an odd one because this will probably be the shortest Crypto Barons, because unfortunately later on tonight I actually have a thing to go to online that requires streaming, meaning I can't be streaming while I engage in this other stream. So we're going to probably eat through this as fast as we can, and of course I got delayed because trying to reset up OBS instead of that weird hacked OBS that we were using to get actual Cyberpunk 2077 running. And before we continue on with today's episode, we'd like to note a couple of things. First of all, we are doing our last charity of the year. We are trying to raise money for Child's Play, which is an awesome organization run by the Penny Arcade people. We were at the Penny Arcade Expo earlier this year in February, back when people weren't licking doorknobs and rubbing hamburgers on their butts to spread COVID, and we did a panel about hacking video games. It was a fantastic con, and the staff was amazing to work with. Those same people run this charity called Child's Play. I know it sounds like the movie with Chucky and everything, and doing a lot of this in cryptocurrency, as well as it's like knifing and then forking. But no, and what they do is they use their money to buy entertainment, technology products, mainly entertainment products and assistive products for primarily children who have suffered from domestic abuse, who are suffering from diseases and injuries like COVID-19, as well as physical and mental disabilities. And we've been unfortunately lingering on $15 for a while, and we want to thank the two donors. One of them was an anonymous donor for donating it to get to $15, and we're trying to reach a minimum of $300. Even if we don't reach our goal, all the money goes to this organization. You get to help out kids this holiday season: Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Human Light, Bodhi Day, Solstice, Craig Day, you know, all that stuff happening in December. And so if you're in Twitch, you can scroll down and we have a little widget that you can click on that will allow you to donate. If you're on DLive or YouTube, first of all, hi everyone out there on DLive and YouTube. We got you, fam. I'm going to type this in right now. This is the Child's Play donation. And I just posted the link in chat. So you can click on that link and you can go to donation page. And again, if you have like, you know, 20, 50, $1 billion, go donate to that. But I don't really have that much money to spend. As I spend it on like crazy lockpick contraptions. But if you have, $10, $5, $3, $1, as long as it's like a correct fiat, because unfortunately they won't accept cryptocurrency at Tiltify, that will just make every bit count. So please, if you have the ability to do that. Also, when you donate, in addition to donating, if you hit that bell, click like, share, subscribe on Twitch, DLive, and YouTube, and hi Facebook. By the time our next broadcast will happen, we'll have all of that stuff built in so that Facebook will interface properly. But if you like or subscribe to us on our live streaming platforms, and even better, donate to the Child's Play charity, we get alerts for those. There's little sounds and pop-ups, and we talk to that person and cheer them on. Lastly, before we go on, I like talking to the chat. Some of the best moments we've ever had on the DEFCON 2 live streams talking in chat. So if you have a conversation to start, as long as it's not stupid, you know who you are, or spammy, which is funny because of the topic we're going to get into today. But if you have a question in chat, if you have a cool thing that you heard, if you wanted to say hi to me or someone else at DEFCON 201, if I can't hear me, if I'm too loud, if I'm too soft, you're wondering about the crazy hair, wonder about the physical blockchain that I'm wearing, what does it say on my shirt, what's on the books on the shelves, maybe, stuff like that, let me know in chat. Otherwise, I assume if you're lurking, you're learning. So we like our lurkers too. We just like when people talk in chat more. So what are we doing on today's Crypto Barons? Well, like I said, this is going to be a short live stream. I actually think we're probably going to cut into some of the time. We were originally going to stream from 8 to 9, but now it looks like it's going to be 8:30 into 9:30. So I'm going to be missing a bit of what I was going to do later just for you folks out there. Again, we're doing this for charity. I mean, I have fun doing the show. I do this when we don't have charity runs, but, you know, helping sick kids really helps. And as I said, we like to look at cryptocurrency technologies. And this episode, we are going to talk about something that people have constantly been asking me about Crypto Barons, which is DEFCON, the DC201's like a computer hacker group. You're talking about a piece of tech. You know, you brought up some things where they've gotten hacked and stuff like that, but when are we going to talk about, like, how you actually hack a blockchain and, like, what are, like, the scams out there and stuff? And that's what this episode's going to be entirely about. It's going to be about, we're going to look into a lot of cryptocurrency scams, and we're also going to look at ways that blockchain can be hacked. And this is nice because it's going to be a mix of two principles that I like talking about. One is just fucking around with math and display stuff as our co-founder walks by haphazardly, in order to do some sort of gain, or basically make, in this case, blockchains, cryptocurrencies, wallets, and other tech do things that wasn't intended or designed to do. And the second thing is there's going to be a lot of things that are called social engineering, which we will get into when we get into there. So without further ado, since we're pressed for time, let's attempt to go directly into today's topic here. So as you can see, that's the default page. That's our website at www.defcon21.org. And again, we're going to be going into scams and hacks and how blockchain gets hacked and how people get... You probably see in the news constantly how people in cryptocurrency world, someone like gets their wallet broken into and they lose like half a Satoshi, which is like $1 billion, or an Ethereum fork chain, you know, Ethereum DApp gets completely blown apart, or someone mines Monero off of someone's machine, and, you know, it's like when a bank gets busted into, where you hear about that the bank gets busted into, but no one wants to talk about the guys and girls in the balaclava mask trying to drill through the wall and going over the securities and stuff. That's what we're going to kind of get into this episode. I will mention there's one bit that I really wanted to cover here, but both due to time and how annoying Metasploit is to set up from scratch, I promise that the beginning of the next episode, we're actually going to do that section, but we're going to do like 90% of what I wanted to do in this episode. So here we go. So how prevalent really are cryptocurrency scams? Now, this is kind of a loaded question because I can already tell you there has been a ton of cryptocurrency and blockchain related scams since Satoshi published the white paper and someone started to implement them. It keeps going on and on. What makes it even worse is that because, and here's the thing, we should be in a lockdown. We literally should not be going outside and licking doorknobs and using other people's toothbrushes for 14 days, and then coronavirus will starve itself to death, and then we can go back fornicating in the streets and watching movies while licking doorknobs and rubbing our butts on each other. However, because everyone's at home, and so everyone's doing things remote, the amount of hacks and scams and ransomwares and malware and all sorts of stuff have skyrocketed. So just keep that in mind, that 2020 is a little bit more unusual than what it normally is. Even that, though, cryptocurrency has a lot of scams. And if you want to know, this is the Scam News Channel. It's a nice sort of like wiki-ish type repository. As soon as a cryptocurrency scam is reported, or a blockchain hack, it goes on this website. And this is 2020 alone, and it keeps updating. And you can see as I scroll down, there is a lot of... It's like, look at the scroll bar off in the corner. There's a lot. Like, we're not going to go through every single one of these, but there's literally letter sections to see alone. It's like it just keeps going. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It keeps going, and we're already at M, going and going and going. And the scroll wheel is eventually going to catch on fire as I try to scroll down all of this. And then there's like companies who have been involved with scams, and that also keeps going and going and going. So, and now we have scams in the past 2 weeks. This is just the past 2 weeks alone. That entire block is just the past 2 weeks. It's a lot. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that a lot of people who are in cryptocurrency, obviously it's in the name, the second half of it, currency. There's a lot of investors. And similar to any banking institution where there's money, there's people who want to get in to get all of that money. So we have that aspect of it. But then you add on top of that, because most of these people are investors, so while they might know like Excel and Word and like how to double click on the browser icon to open it, they don't really know much else. And there's a lot of really poor security practices in digital stuff anyhow, never mind in terms of banking, and cryptocurrency is no different. So you have a lot of people, it's like with smartphones, you have a lot of people using tech, but they don't even know the rudimentary way of how their tech is used. And when you have a blind spot, especially when it's designed to be a blind spot where no one wants to clarify anything, you can take advantages of those blind spots and exploit people ridiculously. There's also the thing, which is a combination of that cryptocurrency is a new frontier, which means that despite years and years of example of fiat currency and banking institutions being pwned and having security stuff, a lot of these groups a lot of this stuff is new out there. They're just going through all this stuff. It's like almost like none of these past like bank robberies and things have never existed. And which also ties to that aspect that cryptocurrency is in a lot of startup culture. And as we're going to see with the scam section, it's very easy now to set up a startup and just instantly start getting capital for your startup. So like, as opposed to like years ago when you wanted to start a company, it would take like a couple of years before like you became like a small business. Now you can literally go from one person with a white paper to having 300 employees and being worth millions of dollars in the span of days, weeks, never mind even days. So adding that rapid growth, plus people who are using tech who don't understand the tech because they're more in it for the finance, plus that a lot of this is new for people, and then particularly in 2020 added that we're all work at home, so we're forced to use tech stuff, meaning we're more reliant on our technology. It's just a giant cesspool for scam and hacks everywhere. So with that out of the way, let's go into, when we're going to get this out of the way and go right into scams, sort of some of the common things that you see in code right off the bat, and also the way programs are designed for hacks. The one that you probably hear thrown around a lot, and no one decides to explain what it is the 51% hack. And as we've covered in previous episodes on Crypto Barons, a lot of systems with blockchain, again, each block uses a hash from a previous block to verify what the block is. And the verification system happens when you halt the entire chain process and all of the wallets compare ledgers, they compare all the data, and if all of them line up, it gets passed through. Now, there's ways to make that faster and more efficient, but that's in general what happens there. So again, all the ledgers have to agree with each other during the verification process in order for the blockchain in its current state that it's in to be considered legit. The 51% hack is actually not too far different from if you were able to manipulate the voting network, which that happened this year, but not in the way people want to talk about. Like it's not like there were dead people voting and stuff like that. It was more of like the post office was paid to not do their job. And that makes me feel really bad for like postal people who are just delivering mail. Their bosses basically bootlicked and their group still lost. That's what happened there. But removing that aspect, let's talk about like actual voting stuff. in the classic definition of a democracy, it's the most popular. So if you want to do polling, once you get one side, one faction gets over 50% and it stays that way during its verification process, that side wins out. It's the most popular thing. And that's literally how blockchains work. So basically, what the 51% attack is that during the verification process, you're essentially manipulating the miners in order to manipulate the ledger code, and basically you're convincing the wallet review process with their ledgers to take the garbage data and have it think the blockchain is valid. And the crazy part is that, again, because democracy, because it would be way too slow that every single, especially when you think of all like the hundreds of thousands of cryptocurrency wallets out there, never like for Bitcoin alone, never mind everywhere else. Could you imagine, which is partly also the reason why Bitcoin is slow, if every single Bitcoin wallet had to say yes to the ledger, it wouldn't work. So again, that's the democratic process. So you don't really need much. You just need 51% or greater of the wallet cesspool to, during the verification process, say okay, and the whole thing is valid. And the thing about it, though, is that it's also dependent on the size of the chain. So there's an issue there where, again, a lot of times when you see 51% attacks, that sort of convincing all of the ledgers to take the garbage data works more better on smaller blockchains because it's harder for the miners to gain control over larger portions of the chain because the chain is shorter and smaller. So that's one way people directly hack blockchain stuff. Another thing is just simply shitty coding, as we've seen in Fallout 70. That Freudian slip, Cyberpunk 2077, where when your engine designer is more interested in eating pancakes than making an engine, that's why everything looks worse than Time Crisis. And it's the same thing with blockchain engineering as well as wallet programming, where there can be glitches or errors, and a lot of these are very common ones. Maybe there is a variable that was declared more open than it should, or there's a inbuilt CVE in like the electron that you're using that most people patch out, but in their rush to get the wallet out, they forgot to actually patch this flaw, and so it exists on the system. And not only can you do that with wallet, as we're going to see later, you can do that from everything from blocks to smart contracts and all sorts of stuff. And then there's also the simple thing that even if you don't attack the chain or wallet or the chain itself or the wallet, you can attack the exchange. You can fool the people who own the individual wallets, and basically you, like, independent of the fact that it's cryptocurrency, you just have very poor security methods in your entire social ecosystem and development engine ecosystem and pipeline system in order to make this cohesive and being way more easier to hack. And so that's some of the examples of how people will actually bork blockchain's codes themselves, because we're going to get into how crazy this will go into. Now, the first group that we're going to talk about in terms of scams and hacks is, I don't know if anyone is paying attention or alive in chat, but there's an ancient term that is not new to cryptocurrency, and it is called the Ponzi scheme. It's actually named after the guy who invented it, sometimes known as the pyramid scheme. And the base idea of the Ponzi or pyramid scheme is that you are selling some sort of service that you're not going to deliver. And in addition to that, the money that people are putting in, you're basically like, let's say there's two people, let's say Bob and Jane, right? When Bob pays the pyramid scheme, Jane has already paid in and she's getting that money back. The pyramid scheme's going to take Bob's money and give it to Jane's money. They also inflate the prices so they skim off the top, and they encourage all the people in the pyramid scheme to recruit in members. And the bottom rung has no idea this is going on, and then there's people as you climb up, this is why it's a pyramid, who may have more details of what's going on and or getting more involved in the scheme, but they don't have all the information at the tippy top of the pyramid, which is that this whole thing has been bogus this entire time. And that combination of selling something that sounds hot but not quite delivering and like kind of making excuses for it, as well as paying off debts with the same money that you're getting in and skimming off the top, and then having different tiers that people feed into, thus rapidly funneling in money, is where you get pyramid schemes. Now, I'm not going to go into every single detail of this, but possibly one of the most well-known pyramid schemes, and here's what's crazy about this scheme. It's not even the biggest Ponzi scheme in cryptocurrency. It's one of the biggest Ponzi pyramid schemes of all time. Was this crazy thing called Onecoin. And I have on the Wayback Machine, which I do have with some of these, instance of the original website back in 2015, because Onecoin originally launched in 2014, if I remember correctly. So, Onecoin was this whole thing where, and I'm trying to remember the names of the people now, but it was this brother and sister duo who they have already been busted for fraud before, but I guess they crafted new identities for themselves, and it was primarily based in the EU, so you're going to see a lot of Euro stuff here. And what they did is that they were making apparently a blockchain cryptocurrency called Onecoin, and then a lot of cryptocurrencies sound sketchy, but in my brain, the name Onecoin alone, it might as well just be called Skynet coin or Illuminati coin. It just has that ring to it. And the idea was that the way they were going to invest in this blockchain ecosystem, and they promised that also the way they're going to set up the blockchain and hit the ground running, that this would expand so fast that it would outpace Bitcoin in like 2 to 4 years. And I just want to make a comment that I often have this thing that drives me crazy, where similar to video games, everyone is always talking about the Bitcoin killer. So I remember when Litecoin came out, it's like, oh, it's faster than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is probably only going to last like 3 more months and then it's going to die. Or that, oh, you know, Ethereum's doing this, so Monero is doing this. And like every new cryptocurrency that gets any sort of traction, all of a sudden is declared the Bitcoin killer. And it's very similar, for example, when Halo was really popular, or when Call of Duty really reached its peak in popularity. These are video games everyone always talked about. Oh, like Killzone came out, and it's like they're going for the multiplayer stuff. It's a console exclusive. This might be the Halo killer, you know. And you get that throughout history. Same thing right now. Ooh, what's going to be the Fortnite killer? And I'm going to spoil everything for you. Bitcoin is not going to go anywhere. If there's one thing that Bitcoin has in common with these type of like what I see in the video game world, it's that no other cryptocurrency is going to kill Bitcoin. Bitcoin, if it dies, will kill itself. And in fact, in an future episode early next year, we are actually going to go, because there's been literally new news that came out this week of how Bitcoin was created, what was the white paper, the whole craziness of Mr. Satoshi, and primarily how Bitcoin, no one, because it's so decentralized, there's no real like roadmap or people who are directing how Bitcoin goes. So everyone has their own idea what Bitcoin is and everyone disagrees with each other. So like Bitcoin could actually be even bigger than it is now, but it keeps splintering and fracturing off. And in between all that infighting, that would be probably the most realistic way. If Bitcoin ever fell off the map, that's why it will fall. It will get so huge over its own hubris, trip over itself and die. No outside coins are going to beat it. In the same way, you don't make a video game to try to kill Fortnite. You just wait until Fortnite ultimately becomes unpopular, and then you release a good game, and then that's how you supplant it. So just want to put that out there. So this was already sketchy kind of as is, of like you're trying to target the most major coin out there. And you know, this is also why when Zuckerberg announced Libra, while he didn't say it was going to overtake Bitcoin, he was so hyping Libra that even though he is, air quote, a reputable company, unair quote, that sort of language is very similar to what OneCoin was doing. And as we've shown in another episode, it's very unscrupulous. We're probably going to revisit that maybe before the end of the year, or maybe very early next year, because I think I can get the code running again. So, particularly about OneCoin, and we're going to look at this. So, first of all, you see this data here about they're like, oh, how many coins mine? Now, obviously, this is a way back, meaning that This is a snapshot of what the website looked like during November 21st, 2015. But here's probably a couple of revelations when things were being investigated. And this went on for a couple of years. This went, I think, for like 2 to 3 years. And one, there was no actual blockchain or cryptocurrency called Onecoin. That never existed. Two, as you can see here, what they were selling was not only where eventually when the coin get released, you had all these product packages. And you can see there's a festival package, a premium trader, a pro trader. The rookie one apparently is free because, you know, it's like drugs. You get the first hit for free and then they start charging. You see starter. It starts at 100 euros and by the time you get to the top of the pyramid, it's 80, 100 euros. It's pretty nuts. And in addition to when you would eventually get the Onecoin, but it also sold like investment stuff, so that when you got your Onecoin, and that's what was immediately available, you'd be able to invest it immediately. Now, obviously you can't buy these anymore, and I wasn't able to find the PDFs of these different product package deals, but I do know from the reports that Interpol and stuff has done on this scam that while all the information about the investing stuff was sound, they were very obviously plagiarized by other public investment sources. So none of it was written unique. They literally copy pasted into a PDF, slapped the Onecoin logo on them, and then sold these for this amount of insane prices with the addition promise of a coin that they weren't going to make, that hasn't existed yet, that they weren't making, that you would eventually get. And we're going to keep looking at this website for a little bit. And I also want to bring up another thing here. So they're hyping up the coin here, and those are the packages. Here's a video that won't load. There's probably like some promotion thing. This is also nuts. I believe these logos original work, but they did full fiat bank. So it was compatible with Visa and MasterCard and all of them. But here's another tip of if you're looking at something, let's say you want to invest. There are two things you've noticed that are not on this website. No matter, and I'm not going to click through all this, but there's no thing here. Even if you, like, look at this menu. Also, Flickr. Look at this menu. There's two things that are missing, right? One, even if they don't have the blockchain ready, which in this case, they shouldn't be selling these type of packages in the first place, but even if they didn't have it ready, there would be a GitHub or a GitLab or a Bitbucket or a SourceForge or something that would point towards the current code that they're building. For example, Libra, for as much as I make fun of it on Facebook, despite the coin, you can't trade the coin doesn't exist yet, but they do have a GitHub where you can go and simulate the blockchain. You can run a code to simulate it of how the coin would work, and they also have a code for what the wallet is going to be, and it's open sourced, despite that Facebook is crazy and wants to copyright all of your thoughts and dreams. So despite how unscrupulous Facebook is, they even had some sort of code repository that at least said, hey, it's not implemented and we don't have all the code, but here's the code we're currently working on. You can look at it, you can run it, and it produces something. That's not on here. If you don't see something, and that, by the way, if you do see that, that's not a guarantee that this isn't a scam, but this is a good, like, just easy basic sign. If there is no code to present whatsoever, don't do it. The other thing, let's say you don't even know anything about code. There was no white paper for Onecoin. There wasn't. I literally tried looking, and I've loaded all their version of the website. There was not one dead link that talked about a white paper for this coin and how the finance was going to go. So again, if you are looking at a cryptocurrency and you want to know if it's a true shit coin or if it's something where even if it's not a popular coin, you're like, this is like Gritcoin. It's not super popular, but I'm interested. I want to invest in it. Or I want to try it out, or I want to run the wallet, see if I can mine it. If there is no code, not even just a coming soon code repository, and I think it's even more important, no white paper that documents what it is with the math equations and stuff, and then like how they're going to do business and grow the thing. Not like this website of like, oh, here's some vague, no, of like, here's like, this year we want to do this year we want to do that sort of white paper, like what we've seen on the past shows. It's probably not a real thing. You're probably looking at a scam. If similar to real life scams, you have nothing to show for it, then there's probably nothing there. So like, it was amazing. And I'm trying to remember, I think they like scammed, what was it? I think it was over $1 billion too. It was a lot of money. I think basically at one point, Onecoin had like more GDP than most European countries. Like, it was insane before they ran off with this. Now, I know that the brother got arrested, and Interpol and the European Union interrogating him is how we found out a lot about these details. The sister, I think, is still at large, and no one knows where she is. Because she just cut high and dry. We're going to get into that in a little bit. I will say, though, that there's a lot more details on this. If you go to YouTube, not right now, but after the show, if you go to YouTube and you search Onecoin, you will find multiple documentaries on this, and you should go watch them. They're a real hoot, and they break down. You can see people's faces and names and stuff. And that was probably the biggest example, but there's a lot more out there. We're going to go over this quick. There was a thing that was recently happened, which is called kryptonx, which I'm not going to load the website because I don't want crap being downloaded onto the computer. That's another thing. Don't click on links. If you think it's skeevy, don't click on it. Where kryptonx was an exchange that was also making a coin called Swedish coin, which is basically like Binance. One of these days we're going to go into Binance, but basically Binance is cryptocurrency for other cryptocurrencies. Like, basically, like, you can take any cryptocurrency and trade it in for Binance, and then you can trade it back or just use the Binance itself. It's like this weird Russian doll thing, but it's like an actual legit thing, even though the company's kind of unscrupulous. kryptonx was apparently trying to do this, but there were, as they said here, Sweden set to become first major country to officially adopt a single cryptocurrency as their official coin. Nowhere anywhere in the Swedish government, as a press release or a website, and then when they eventually interviewed them, while Sweden is open to cryptocurrencies, there is no unified coin. In fact, they don't want to do that because they believe in a free market, so they want multiple cryptocurrencies to help and compete with each other. So this was a scam. And they couldn't, and then when they did investigations, they couldn't find any background information about the kryptonx research group and team. The only thing they could find was a private company, and there was like a bunch of investment stuff, and it's like, invest in us, but like your investments didn't go anywhere because there was no coin, and the Swedish government didn't know because they're not adopting this coin. They're not adopting any coin here. So this is a very recent example, and like, look at this. They also claimed all these different people who are actual prominent figures, including Bill Satan Gates himself, was investing in this when he not only he's not investing in this, he doesn't give a shit in any of this. He barely gave a shit about the internet during Windows 95 when the internet was actually gaining traction. Do you think he's going to support crypto? No. And again, it's like you just said, public people. You could ask them, but people did fall for this, and I just find this amusing. So that's one recent one that also happened. And then there's just random people who just do this. This is it. California man pleads guilty to a cryptocurrency mining fraud for $722 million in this crazy Ponzi scheme. And like, I'm gonna post the link in chat so you can read it. It's from Bloomberg, but like, this is the type of stuff that sort of happens here in the market. So I guess before we go to the next section here, and then I'm just gonna share the donation, which again, if you want to donate a couple of bucks, please, to Child's Play. They're trying to get money this year from reputable sources, depending on people, for kids who have mental and physical disabilities or who are sick with COVID or have gone through domestic abuse. Basically, they any sort of injury thing that you go to a hospital or therapist for, they're trying to get these kids toys and like assistive gear, like, you know, VR and like treadmills and stuff to heal these kids or at least make their lives a little bit less bearable. I think we can relate. I want my life to be a little bit less bearable exiting out of 2020. We can do that for some kids too. So if you have $1 or $5, please donate to the thing. I posted the link in chat. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll. There's a little widget that you can click on to donate. And if you have any questions in chat, by the way, so far, just ask me. Again, we're going to do, I think, 9:30 just because we were so late. Otherwise, keep lurking and keep learning. So, before we get to the next section here, if I remember quickly. One last one. Sorry, I forgot about this. Another thing, this is not necessarily a Ponzi scheme, but this also kind of goes into, and we're going to get more into social engineering in the third half here. We're already like 1/3 of the way through this whole thing. But another thing that will happen is, again, not only does cryptocurrency, even the shittiest of shit coins usually make a crap ton of money. Crap and shit. But cryptocurrency, a lot of people who invest in it There's a reason why they're investing. They have a bunch of money. They like do soybean futures or, pot ventures or getting your own private island where you have people who are underage and you invite Bill Clinton and Donald Trump over, things like that. And so it's really easy. And here's another thing about Ponzi schemes, even though this next section is not particularly a Ponzi scheme, but it is a scam, where these type of scams, this type in particular, likes to advertise a lot. If you see more money and effort, like this is what bothers me about Hex, which is what happened to us on our Discord. We have a DEFCON 201 Discord. There was this coin thing that we're pretty certain is a scam that was called Uni. And sometimes you've seen this in the Twitch chat where bots, and they're just endless. And it's like a Hydra. You kill one and 100 of them appear in their place. That was just spamming of like, hey, please check out our cryptocurrency and its Whitepaper stuff. And it was just endless spam. Just like every 2 seconds they were posting this crap. And it's not just restricted in chat. These sort of things, and we're even going to get into a part where they do this. They have money they're going to take out. They can put advertisements. They'll take out physical billboards. They'll take out legit ads on like reputable websites. And, which was really funny a couple of years ago, they'll buy celebrities to hype the coin for them. This is something, like I'll put an example here, like you don't see like, even though this would be hilarious and probably a good idea to some degree, like you don't see, for example, a fiat currency like the United States dollar or the USD. You don't see like them teaming up with like Beyonce to promote the new dollar. As absurd as it sounds, like you don't see like China promoting the yuan globally by like, I don't know, investing in like Rammstein or something to talk about how awesome the Chinese yuan is. Like only in cryptocurrency will a piece of currency will get celebrities to hype their currency. And this is one of the example where there was this the boxer Floyd Mayweather and music producer and rapper and DJ Khaled were fined because essentially they were paid a bunch of money by a cryptocurrency exchange to promote their exchange, and they didn't realize, because they didn't bother to look, they just saw a paycheck and they got it, that the currency exchange was a scam. So when that scam got busted, they were legally dragged in to all of this bullcrap. And I'm not saying to not pity these people. These people should have obviously seen this coming and should have like had their lawyers read the bottom line, or just stay out of cryptocurrency in general, because you're a DJ and a boxer. What are you doing promoting digital money? It's the same thing I often ask in, the guy on the gold throne. I am here for the tech. No, you're not. You're here to invest. Like, don't come in acting like you know all this stuff when you're not like, a person here. Which, by the way, I just want to note that I'm not like a fiat legal investor or anything. I do dabble in this, but I've dabbled enough in this, and I'm really concerned about people getting pwned by this type of crap that I'm literally, no one sponsors this show or any of the shows at DEFCON 201, at least not yet. So like I have no reason to like, if I think a current crypto thing's good, like ZeroNet, which I love, I'll talk about it. If it's shit like this, I will talk about how shitty this is. Just note out there. And again, if you really like what I'm talking about here, you can donate to Child's Play, like even $1, and I'll get a little notification for it and cheer you on. Otherwise, if you are interested in this content and you can't wait to know what like the December 18th meeting this upcoming Friday is going to be like, because it is going to be awesome, and you actually get to truly interact with us, or some of our upcoming shows like Hack Alt and Commander on Wednesday, and you're going to get a double dose back-to-back of Archvile Linux Perspective this Thursday and next Thursday. You can hit that like button, hit that bell, and click subscribe, follow, or share on Twitch D Live or YouTube, and hi Facebook. And if you have any questions, ask in chat. Otherwise, keep lurking, keep learning. And definitely donate to Child's Play if you can. So what can we learn about this before we go on to like the next section here, where we're just going to go through a bunch of different insane hacks that's happened from like the blockchain stuff I talked about. Well, first of all, again, go to like Coin Bureau or CoinGecko and see if it's listed. There are scams, we're going to point them out, where they're able to buy their way in or fool them enough to be on there. But just as a rudimentary thing, see if they're actually listed on those two websites or like an actual major exchange. Second of all, and probably more important, Find their OG, which is why you should do that. If they are on there, they should have their original website. Go to that website. Maybe open like a browser that you sandbox or run a browser through a VM just in case. But run that. Look at their website. Does it look professional? Could be, but professional things still look like scams. But two things. Do they have a code repository where you can actually look at the code of what they've been working on? And even if the coin's not running, they should have a code repository. And do they have a white paper where they actually have a detailed listing about what they're going to do and what their thing is? Huge major red flags like right there. Second of all, if there is no product that's going to show for this, don't invest. Like, let's say even if there was a legit cryptocurrency. Oh, thank you, Burak Shaka. I sadly don't know how to pronounce your username. Burakashka. I'm American, so I'm terrible at pronouncing names. But thank you for following us on DLive there. I appreciate that. So, again, no white paper, no code repository, not kosher. Okay. Even if it's a legit cryptocurrency, do not invest in anything until there's an actual product in market. So unless there's a wallet where you can actually mine the coin, whether it's proof of work, proof of stake, proof of ass, whatever, and you can get these coins and they're actually traded, don't. And third, ignore the marketing. Just because your favorite porn star, musician, computer hacker, I'm looking at you, John McAfee, and all the other people are hyping the crap out of this, that doesn't mean it's real. You can easily buy marketing. We know, because even with our pathetic money, we're everywhere on the internet. It's that easy. So just ignore the marketing. Do Occam's razor. Look through, do they have working code? Do they have a white paper? Do a Google or DuckDuck search with their name online. Try to look up articles for what they are, and just wait out and see what happens. See if anything actually develops. So that's some of the preliminary things of, and again, if it seems like it's too good to be true, it probably is. So that's a great way to avoid a lot of these type of scams and Ponzi schemes. But let's look at now scams that are a little bit more in depth, and I have hilarious notes for these. We have a couple here. I think we're doing actually okay with time despite that we're late. Starting with Tether. Now, this is going to probably be a little controversial because Tether is still in use today. And it's a type of cryptocurrency. Basically, it's similar to Binance, where you're able to tether the cryptocurrency to either other cryptocurrency types or to extensive apps like dApps. It's kind of like let's see, like if the top coins basically are, if I remember correctly, are Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Monero, Zcoin, kind of. If those are like the top 5, Tether is like ethereally in and out at number 6. So it's like getting there. You know what I mean? Like it's not one of the big coins, but it's not a shit coin either by that definition. It is used, and it's still used today. But there was a crazy hack that happened. Let me go to my notes. Which was that exactly 30,950,010 UDST was stolen from Tether's treasury and sent to an anonymous Bitcoin address. What's hilarious is that they did mark the tokens to prevent them from being used by hackers, so they basically void the value on them. But basically, they kind of learned their lesson, and I'll put it this way: they basically studied the DAO hack, which is how they got hacked, and they did a hard fork, similar to what Ethereum did with DAO, to invalidate all the stolen funds. So, and by the way, even though that, again, prevented the hackers from using the tokens, it also basically highlights a problem with using centralized authorities, like centralized exchanges and centralized, committees for cryptocurrency over like a more decentralized system like BISC, which we will early next year go into decentralized exchanges here. I think that's pretty nuts that $30 million was still in Tether was stolen out of the Tether treasury wallet. Hi, Yes, you're Quasar Sword. You're new to crypto. Not right now. Don't worry. I was too, in the exact same way, and I'll give you a sneak preview that I was new to lock picking and how locks work and bypasses and stuff, and then I basically taught myself, and also other awesome people helped teach me. And if I do this right, I'm not doing this right. See, even experts get caught with stuff, but basically, oh, come on. You're being camera shy, aren't you? Oh, come on. Really? You're getting stuck there? Really? We're doing this? Anyhow, take my word for it that I was trying to do something dramatic and it didn't work out because welcome to this show. But no, we all start new somewhere, whether it's coding, lockpicking, cryptocurrency, soldering, whatever. Years ago, I couldn't tell you the difference between a Bitcoin and an eggplant. So by looking at these tech, working on a bunch of white papers, and doing some minor buying and trading of coins myself, I learned about a lot of this. And I also had some great people to teach me. If you want to truly learn in tech-wise how a blockchain works, after this, go to our probably YouTube, which should be youtube.com/c/defcon201, all one word. Click on go to like the find crypto baron, so you find the what do you call it, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like a book or like a little, like we have like a list that's all the episodes of Crypto Barons, and find the first one, and you can watch me code one live. And if you go through the entire order of crypto, it's not even me advertising the show, I'm being serious. If you go through all the order of Crypto Barons, you will become like a noob intermediate just by that alone. And you're going to learn even more stuff because I can tell you right now, the first half of next year, we're going to be doing a lot of DApps or decentralized apps, and we're going to be doing a lot of coding, which I hate doing on air, but I'm doing that because I like this so much and I like you folks out here. Last 2 months I haven't learned a lot. Good for you. Keep learning. That's what we do on the show. I learn stuff all the time. I learned a lot. I thought I knew everything about scams, and then there were scams that I didn't even, in hacks that I didn't even know existed until I started putting this together the past couple of days. So we're all learning here. I'm just really good at learning, except when I'm stupid. So I'm just relating what I learned and know. But yeah, and thank you for mentioning that. But yeah, going back to Tether, it's just insane that they broke in and do that. And we're going to get into a little bit of like how things get broken into as well. Starting with coinrail. I don't know. Thank you. I can't wait to check that out. I don't know if any of you remember coinrail. That was another type of cryptocurrency exchange that is located, I believe, in South Korea. It was definitely located in Asia. Hang on, let me get to my notes here. This is hilarious. So coinrail, they had a hack, and it resulted in the theft of a bunch of altcoins that cumulative together was worth $40 million. Those coins were frozen, and they moved the rest of everything to multiple cold storage wallets. And I think there might now be a paper, because I know it took like a year and a half to investigate. But back in 2018 when this happened, it took forever for them to reverse engineer how the heck they even broke in. I want to see quickly here. Yeah, they don't even know how it broke in. I might look that up, and if I find out, I'll bring up how they broke in later, because we're going to get into some where I'm going to tell you exactly how they broke in. But I just want to mention, like, this stuff happens. It's not all the time, but it's common. So just, it's pretty there. The amazing Ether Thief is probably one of my next favorite ones here. And this is, remember I was talking about that DAO hack? Let me tell you how the DAO hack happened. This occurred on the Ethereum blockchain. And basically, and we're going to cover this because there's going to be another one of these. A computer hacker who was malicious exploited, they basically didn't code the smart contract very well. And also to note that DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So the thing about it is, because it's decentralized, see, now we're going, remember I was talking about shit about centralized stuff? Now we're going to talk about a weakness if you don't code everything well about decentralized. So since a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, aka DAO, which is what Ethereum used to be, if you invest in a DAO, you can pitch projects to by using funds to invest into that decentralized organization. And then the investing in that DAO stays anonymous by functioning through smart contracts on the blockchain. So basically, when you vote and you do pitches, you're supposed to be you're supposed to be anonymous, so nobody knows who casted the vote. It's kind of like the way they vote for popes, where even though all the bishops are in the rooms, nobody knows who letter comes to what because of how they pass the notes around. And basically, a hacker found a way to de-anonymized the decentralized system, and because now he spoofed them, he was able to siphon funds slowly over time so no one would notice, and drain $60 million worth of Ethereum out of, like, I think it was like 1/4 to 1/3 of the entire wallet. And this caused a huge stir, which is why Ethereum did a hard fork, because, you know, there's, as I said, there's kind of a war between in cryptocurrency, and there's like a kind of mental culture war where you have I won't call them necessarily hackers, but you have like the freedom tech people, and you have the investors. And the freedom tech people are like, F the man, I want to make my own currency, I want to stuff that currency underneath a mattress, I want to be able to pay for hard drugs and cars and booze and, you know, get myself 8 million sex changes. Not that that's bad, but just like the mass amount of capital. And everything's like, yeah, F you. The investors want this currency to be as ubiquitous as USD or like the euro or the pound or whatever. And these conflict with each other a lot because essentially the tech people want it to be decentralized. But then in most societies, there's sketchiness around decentralized. And like things like this where what if the decentralized thing gets pwned, then how do you defend against it? Because since it's decentralized, you don't know where the attack's coming from. So people don't want to legitimize it. If you legitimize it, it automatically by its nature becomes more centralized. Like the way fiat US currency, where we have the IRS and the mint and things like that. And so a lot of cryptocurrencies, including even the big ones, are trying to find this balance between being more of like a decentralized, like anyone can do this system, and being legitimate and preventing all of these scams and hacks from happening. And that's where all of like the slap fights and things are going on. I just want to quickly see if in this particular one, if they talk about how exactly it was pwned. I don't think they do in this, because we are going to get into one where I'm going to, there's like I like the little code. There's pieces of code here. That's kind of neat. I didn't even notice that. I don't think this one goes into, they do have the address. Unfortunately, I might go back to this. We did look up a program a while ago where you can enter addresses and it will like analyze them and see if, because of how it's related to others, and also shows you how easy it is to track things like Bitcoin, if addresses are legit or not. I was going to do that, but again, we're running out of time. We're already like halfway through this, and I'll cover more of it the next episode, even including the next episode topic, which I think you don't want to miss. The last episode of the year of Crypto Barons. Like, I think all the last episodes of all the shows before the beginning of the new year are going to be nuts. The Crypto Barons one, I really hope a lot of people tune in to see it, because I was hyped for it. And yeah, let's keep going on. So the next scam that I want to talk about is the nice hash. So this is interesting because unlike the other past couple ones, this is not a Ponzi scheme nor say, or an exchange, but it's a sourcing platform. Basically what you do is you pay to source hashing power from various individuals. Basically, you have people on there and they're basically like, hi, I have this rig with this much processing power, I have a rig with this much, and then you could be like, hi, I want to pay you to mine for me because you have better equipment than I do. It's kind of like the third way. So instead of like using your own equipment or using like a cloud pool where every machine's weaker, but then working together they're stronger, it's like the capitalist way of like, yeah, just mint the money for me. I'm just going to throw money at the problem to get more money. Like that's basically what NiceHash was doing. And what they end up doing, we're going to kind of get into this, is that they used a phishing attempt as a malicious hacker and got the logins from an employee that worked at NiceHash, broke in there into that system, and then of course they actually started draining all the funds from the users. Following that, NiceHash did plan on reimbursing all of the funds through a payment plan, and they started in 2018. I think they finished up early this year before COVID hit. And just to note, like again, hacker just even in that short span where started siphoning funds, I think they found out like an hour later in that time, already managed to siphon 62 million out of various USD worth of various cryptocurrencies. So it's insane how hard this stuff gets hit. And this is the press release, which I find hilarious that NiceHash did a press release in Reddit. And it's one of those things where it's like, come on, everyone. Like, you know, I understand keeping it underground to some degree, but it's like you're going to do a press release not on like your own website, but on Reddit. Like, do you want to look sketchy? Like, come on, people. Ah, jeez. So the next one, and this one is a lot more famous, is the Bitfinex. And now Bitfinex is interesting because, like I said, they bought a lot of advertisements. You could find them on CoinGraph. You could find them on legit ads from different websites, like like TechCrunch and Vice and things. So it seems legit, but this is crazy. So, this is pretty nuts. So what ended up happening, and I'm going to read this. Hackers stole 119,756 Bitcoins during this one attack. So back when it was stolen, that was $77 million worth of Bitcoin. With the rate it is now, if I remember correctly, it should be in the 700s, like 710, 740, somewhere between, like under 700, like above 700, but below $750 million worth of Bitcoin. How did this happen? Well, simple. Bitfinex used multi-signatures. Now, as we covered when we talked about security coins, this is normally a good thing because you want multi-signature method, and you can go watch that episode. I think I covered Monero, Dash, Zcoin, a bunch of other things. And you use that to increase security. What ended up happening was the security was essentially compromised. And I think in this particular article, I think they talk about how it was compromised. Yeah. So the source of vulnerability, let's see. Bitfinex and BitGo created a system, which you can read on their blog, where multi-signature wallets, those where keys are divided among number of owners to manage risk. Let's see here. As a result, the companies found altered standard process. Rather, each Bitfinex user has... Oh, okay. Each Bitfinex user had their own set of keys created on the platform using a 2 of 3 key arrangement, which Bitfinex held 2 of the keys, including one offline, and BitGo used a third to co-sign transactions. So, in order to withdraw large amounts of funds, BitGo would have to sign off on those transactions. And so, from what we understood is, I believe they basically kind of a 51% attack, and they compromised Bitfinex and BitGo, and because they had the majority of the signatures. Yeah, this is what happened. The majority of the signatures valid. The validness of the transactions were okayed. And so this person stole what is worth now 730 million Bitcoins. And because it's not their own currency and stuff, you can't freeze Bitcoin per se. So that person made off with a pretty penny. I find it hilarious if it wasn't so sad. The next one is called and this is where we get to look at a bit code, is the Party wallet hack. What is that? That sounds like a type of dance, the Party wallet hack. This one is really weird. So this wasn't like some shady malicious hacker dude or something. It wasn't someone in like a hoodie wearing a balaclava and typing in gloves on a pew pew glowy keyboard, and like smart contracts broke and he hacked into NASA and everything. This was just a normal user found a weakness in the smart contract that governed all the Polarity wallets. And then he was able to, which we're going to look at in a bit, exploit a fault in the code and make himself the owner. So he did privilege escalation and then essentially became the owner of the wallet. And then he deleted the code in the smart contract itself because he now is God to the wallets, that caused the wallet to self-destruct. And what happens in cryptocurrency when you self-destruct is the code that maintains the access to the chain just doesn't work. So it would be the equivalent of blowtorching a bank wheel shut so no one can open the vault. So all the cryptocurrency is there, but no one can access it, so it's locked indefinitely. It was Ethereum that was in these wallets, and it was 513,000 Ethereum, which was apparently worth about $160 million in 2017. And they've, by the way, so Polarity, who's the company that makes the wallets, have upgraded the wallets to ensure apparently this fault can happen again, to which hackers will be like, challenge accepted. But let's do a quick look at like some of the code here. So let's see. So the attack explain. I'm going to see if I can make the, we're going to zoom in a bit, see if we can make this bigger. I always like making things bigger on this show. So let's see. So there's okay. So they sent 2 transactions to each of the affected contracts. First, to obtain exclusive ownership of the multi-sigs. They pwn the multi-sig, and then a second one moves the funds after the multi-sigs improve. So let's see. There's a first transaction, which is the init wallet, and there's actually we can I'm going to open this in another tab. We can open the GitHub here for this is like all the code for the wallet. Maybe later on I'll fork it to the DC201 DEFCON 201 repo, which is at github.com/DEFCON 201, and everyone can look at it. But yeah, so there's the transaction. So they call the init wallet here. So it's under the constructor. So that's the whole owner unit. That's the function of the init wallet, and then the day limit, and then it references the owners and the required. So as I said here, it's part of the constructor logic to a separate library. So they're using proxy library patterns, where basically they're using, and there's other parts of the code which will declare basically proxy functions, and that's why instead of embedding all of the function code in here, it's essentially like it's objectifying it where it's in different chunks here. So it's calling those libraries in order to fill the rest out here. Let's see, the wallet was unmatched to library, so it was Della call in line 424. That's kind of ominous. It's just that. Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. So once you have the init wallet function, and so once you modify one of these proxy variables, the delegate call, this whole thing here, makes it so that once these pass through the wallet functions, it can be callable on the system by anyone, including the initial wallet. So all you need to do is pwn one wallet and you have access to all the wallets here. I haven't seen this code before. I just knew of this hack by name. But this is flabbergasting me. And to think, these weren't like Russian mob guys or like North Korea or like, some cabal on 4chan. This was just some dude who was using this wallet, and just maybe he was like a developer and he just likes to futz around code and just went, hey, wait a minute, and then wanted to see how far it went in like the worst way possible, which is usually how hacks happen in general. So init wallet has no checks to prevent an attacker from calling it after the contract was initialized. So once the contract was okayed, again with the proxies, there's no verification afterwards. So just the attacker just did that, and he just changed the contact owners to their own address. So this is the OG address, and then he did the evoke execution function, and he plugged in his own address here. And That happened, yeah, and that could have been prevented by not extracting the constructor logic in the library, or just not using Delacol as an all-catch system where it's just, oh, you got the it's like with COVID. It's like, oh, you passed the heat test, go through, lick all the doorknobs. Like, that's what essentially happened here. That's wild. So you pwn one smart contract on one wallet, and you get access to all the wallets on the network. Wow. That legit hurt my brain. Chat, I don't know if it hurt your brain too. Let me know if it hurt your brain as much as it hurt my brain. I feel like I need to go do like some sort of an abuse center, because that just hurt. And speaking of abuse centers, again, we're trying to raise money for Child's Play, which not only donates money to domestic abuse centers, but also gets cool gadgets as well as assistive equipment such as VR and walking rigs and treadmills for people who either have kids who have physical mental disabilities, who have been abused physically and mentally, as well as kids who have had severe illnesses such as diseases like COVID. So if you want to spare $1 or $3 or more, $20, $50, I'm going to put the link in chat again. And if you're on Twitch, we have a widget you can scroll down and donate directly. I'd very much appreciate that. We're going to be doing this up until the day after New Year's Day. So I'd love to see people donate now, because that every bit, even if it's $1, builds up to that. Otherwise, you can also hit that like and subscribe button, because whether you donate, which I prefer you do, even if it's just $1, or you hit like, share, subscribe on Twitch, Live, or YouTube, I will see notifications like I did earlier and cheer people on. And if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, or you want clarification, or you disagree with me, please let me know in chat. Otherwise, keep lurking, keep learning. So let's go back here, because we should be almost done. I'm probably going to breeze through the rest of this. This actually might be like a half and half episode thing. Next one I want to talk about real quick is the BitGrail. This is an Italian cryptocurrency exchange. There was a hack where 17 million nano tokens were stolen. Nano is a type of cryptocurrency, which is worth $170 million, $180 million in general. And the thing that makes this kind of controversial is two things. One is that they claim it's outside hackers, but when they were looking at how the transactions happened, it seemed that it was just like a bunch of shell mismanaged accounts that were then put in a total lump sum, which means that basically it seems like they were a bank and they robbed their own bank and then blamed like some people in Alabama for robbing their bank that was nowhere near their bank in order to pass like dark money essentially. So that's a thing. The other thing was when the founder asked to do a fork of that before the hack happened, the founder, Mr. Fiaro, asked to fork the blockchain before it was hacked. You know how during COVID that we keep seeing these politicians where like there'll be like a major spike in COVID because like there'll be like less respirators, and then one of the politicians that invests in respirators like puts all their stock into respirators like a week before the tornado hits, before the bad thing happens, and it's just sort of like, there's a scam going on, like someone's checking out money and doing shady shit. This was this, but with crypto. So that I just wanted to highlight that, because that also shows how like it's not all hackers or just tinkerers that do this. Sometimes cryptocurrency exchanges do this to themselves in an attempt to try to avoid blame, pushing their own dark money around. Another thing here is CoinCheck, which is absolutely hilarious. This was $400 million stolen. It's the second biggest amount stolen in cryptocurrency history. And what makes this unique is that it wasn't that the hackers were really clever trying to pwn this. It's more of that CoinCheck was just poorly structured. Like literally, you could put a ham sandwich next to their router and CoinCheck would pwn itself. What they did was they stole $400 million worth of the Neo currency in the exchange, because essentially CoinCheck was the only exchange that didn't use multi-sig security, even though all the other exchanges, even small ones that are run by like a couple of people, all had multi-signature. And the other problem was that they left all the currency, because normally what a lot of cryptocurrency people they do now is that when you make a transaction, it connects to the wallet, and then when you're not accessing it, it severs that connection. So your coins are usually put into some form of warm to cold storage wallet. The wallets that CoinCheck was using were constantly connected, so these were constant hot wallets being used as bank vaults, which is as we talked about with making your own cold storage wallet. That's like never a good thing. So all they had to do, which we're going to get into a second, is one phishing attack, and they just collected information from one employee, and then then made a piece of malware that employee clicked on because they were stupid, and they breached the security of the whole thing because they didn't have to sign or anything. And since all the wallets are constantly connected, they just dumped all the coins out, and they're still reimbursing people for that today. And then the last crazy thing that I want to get into, and then we're going to kind of jump real quick through everything else, and then unfortunately I have to go. Although if you want to donate money while I'm not broadcasting, that would be great. Is the infamous Mt. Gox hack, which still is it's still the highest direct cryptocurrency scam, unlike the Ponzi scheme, which was actually fiat money. This is cryptocurrency at over $450 million. This happened in 2014. It's the most notorious one of all time. Mt. Gox had hackers slowly siphoning Bitcoin out of their exchange, and from what I understood, they were siphoning. Oh yeah, so the total was 850,000 Bitcoins. So this is crazy. So back in 2014 when this happened, it was $450 million. Now it's around $4 to $6 billion worth. And again, that's all been lost because unlike some of the other exchanges where you have things like Nano and stuff where there's security measures, Bitcoin doesn't have those. So once Bitcoin, it's gone. You're not getting that back. And that it didn't even end there because the hacker who eventually got arrested for hacking Mt. Gox exposed a bunch of crap of by Mt. Gox, which bankrupt the whole thing. Mt. Gox doesn't exist anymore, and because it went bankrupt, they exposed that the owner was allegedly doing embezzlement charges, and I don't know if those charges stuck or not, but basically the owner was imprisoned himself. So a hacker pwned an exchange so hard that he exposed fraud of the owner, and both the hacker and the owner of the exchange, I don't know if it was the same prison, but they both went to prison at the same time. Isn't that amazing? It's just, this is insane. And by the way, Mt. Gox, it's also in Japan. So just to let you know, it's in Japan. So that's just a quick overview of just some of the most hilarious ways that companies have been pwned over the years. Now we're going to get into a bunch of other things. This is going to go by really fast. This is a little bit more about the Mt. Gox. It's like what the website used to look like. And then quick shout out to Verge getting hacked constantly all the time. I think it's been hacked like 4 times already. We covered Verge when we were talking about dark web coins that exist on like Tor and I2P and stuff. But we're not going to get into that. Instead, I'm going to get into, is 2 quick things. This is an archive of BitConnect. This was another one of those Ponzi scheme, pump money, dump in, dump out that were able to advertise on cryptocurrency exchanges. So cryptocurrency exchanges thought this was legitimate. They fooled them, which adds to their legitimacy to this illegitimate scam. And then what's even more kind of fascinating, there's BitConnect, is there's BitClub, which you can actually read in the attorney's office from the District of New Jersey about the witness from New Jersey who just tore this entire crazy scam down in 2019 with the indictment. And there were another BitClub was also listed on a bunch of currency exchanges, including CoinGraph and CoinGecko. And then this crazy company that apparently is now a legit company, maybe, and still exists, called Amphix or AMFEIX, scam the crap out of people with their Ponzi scheme with their old owners. And not only did AMVX was on all these exchanges and took out ads and bought celebrities, they went far enough, I sadly don't have a picture here, but they went far enough that they actually bought billboard advertisements in Europe and the United States. So again, just because there's a lot of advertising does not mean this thing's legitimate. Go online, type into Google or DuckDuckGo the name, see if there's a white paper, see if it's code, ask around, do your research before you start investing or downloading strange code that you don't know about. And if you're going to run that code or launch that website, and you can go back to the episode when we did crypto wallets, you get a VM program like VM Oracle or something, get like Ubuntu or something, install it, then on the GUI, click Firefox, and go from there, because it's going to be a lot more difficult to get through the hypervisor in that VM. So that way, if it does destroy a computer, it destroys the virtual machine and not your actual computer. And we might cover that more in the future in a bit. So yeah, this is more about like the crazy Ponzi scheme with Unix and stuff. So this is the thing that we'll get into later, which is I wanted to talk about phishing. So we're going to go over phishing real quick because now I'm really running late. Phishing is a social engineering technique. Let me go through this. So social engineering, there's a terrible thing that people talk about because it's a super shorthand that it's basically lying to other people. And it's a lot more nuanced than that. Social engineering is essentially remote hacking someone's brain without physically going into their brain for the most part. And what you're essentially doing is you are trying to say things that will trigger certain outcomes and thinking processes in the other person to make someone do something that would be in your best interest and not necessarily in their best interest. Not that there'd be even harm coming out of from this. Like social engineering could have me being that, classic example, you don't like green eggs and ham, and over a conversation, I convince you to at least try green eggs and ham when originally you were dead set on never trying the thing in the first place. That's social engineering. Nothing obviously bad came out of the story. Apparently the dude in Dr. Seuss's book ended up really liking green eggs and ham. I know this is a bizarre comparison, but bear with me. But that's what social engineering is. You're taking someone who has a certain stance, and then you're like fine-tuning, trying to figure out what to say, what to do, what situation you'd put them in order to get them to do the thing that you want them to do. Good parents are usually good social engineers, just putting that out there. And phishing is a type of social engineering. It's also the most overexposed, well-documented, effective social engineering because since it involves websites and code and stuff, it's way easier to teach about this than it is other types of social engineering when you're wearing like a sombrero and a fake mustache talking to people. And what phishing is, and it doesn't have to be digital. There's been phishing forever. You can do this with documents and conversation, all sorts of stuff. What you do is you send someone either a website or an email or a social media message, something that looks like it comes from an official source that they would use or trust. So for example, if I want to get in someone's bank account and I knew they were using Chase, I would send them an email that looked like it came from Chase saying, hey, there's been something odd with your account. We need you to log in. And when they click that link, it will go to a website that resembles Chase. That maybe if someone looked closely enough, they might be able to recognize as being part of Chase. That's not Chase, but they think it is. And then they have the login screen, and when they type it, they think they're logging into Chase. Heck, I might even forward the actual login information to the real Chase website so it looked like they logged in. But because they entered the information on the website I built, I got the information from them. Or if I got them to click the link to get the malware, I got them to do that. And now I can now do red teaming actions to pwn them based on the type of recon that I got from that. And that's essentially what phishing is. It's essentially, you ever see the video when they're like trying to feed a kid or a pet and like they'll like move in with the chicken nugget, and when the kid tries to eat, they pull that away and put a carrot, and the kid bites at the carrot and is like, no, I'm eating vegetables now. I didn't want this. That's not fair. I thought it was going to be a chicken nugget. It turned out to be a carrot. That's kind of what phishing is. So there's a whole exercise about phishing. I'm going to cover that in the beginning of next episode. But phishing is really common. It's super common with cryptocurrencies because people automatically get fooled by phishing a lot. When you now add, hey, you want to get free money, people will almost click on anything. And so that's caused major problems in the past, such as probably the most famous one this year, where someone either paid a Twitter employee to be like, hi, you hate your job, tell them to go fuck themselves by giving me your admin stuff, or did a phishing thing to get the admin stuff and then proceed to do this phishing where now that they were god of Twitter, they went into popular accounts from celebrities and politicians such as Joe Biden, you can see the screenshot here, Kim Kardashian, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, Wiz Khalifa, Warren Buffett, Mr. Beast, Wendy's, the company Wendy's, not the girl Wendy's, Uber, just a ton of them. We covered this on our Instagram, and the way people kind of noticed is because they all had the same message where it's like, look, Biden doesn't even know what fiat currency is, never mind cryptocurrency. Why would he be asking for this? I am giving back to the community. All Bitcoin sent to this address below will be sent back doubled. And of course people were like, oh, I like Joe Biden. He apparently wants to do money. I'm going to do money. And then their money went away. And I think they got, what was it? I think it was like 40 million before Twitter cracked down on this and like kicked the guy out and everything. They also even got to cryptocurrency things. They made posts on the official Bitcoin Twitter, Ripple Twitter, CoinDesk, Tron, Binance, all the same message here. It's insane. I'm actually shocked they didn't go into Twitter support and change that. That would be even more hilarious. Yeah, you see the Apple one. That's part of the wallet code to the receive code send the Bitcoin. Yeah, and like despite like not only did you see all of these messages and they were literally the same type of message over and over again. Look at it's like the same spacing and everything, and it's the same URL. How did 30 different companies and people decide to do this? Yeah, it's a scam. But people, they just saw, ooh, cryptocurrency, money, check mark, donated. And some hacker got away. I think it was some kids somewhere, two kids somewhere there. I think they were both 14 and got $40 million out of this in the span of like, I think it was like 3 to 5 minutes. It was absolutely insane. And that's something that happened this year. Yeah, Cash App. This is nuts. So that's probably the most well-known one of like, what do you think of a phishing scam? Where again, they went in very obviously being the person they're not supposed to be, but because people see that check mark and it's a celebrity or someone they liked, they got tricked into this. It's the same thing that happens with elderly people with robocalls, where people call and they're hoping that this person has Alzheimer's and they pretend to be like a long-lost relative of theirs in like the Nigerian prince thing, and then they ask for money, and because the relative can't remember if there's a kid, but they're like, I'm old, I probably fathered 8 million kids at the Yankee Stadium, so I'm just going to give them all my money, and then it's the same thing, except this is cryptocurrency with younger people. It's just absolutely amazing. And then it's gotten even worse. Theta has an AI that looks out for this. For some reason, YouTube does not look out for this. There are YouTube videos where you think you are watching from the official source a live stream like this one, and then a QR code will pop up and be like, hey, we're also giving away a promo on this live stream. And it's as this one, that one I think from Bill Gates, I think is from 3 years ago. But people think it's new. It says live in the corner. And so people are like, oh, cool, I'm enjoying what Bill Gates is saying here about microchipping everyone. And look, there's a QR code, and apparently I can do like crypto stuff. That's really cool. I'm a tech person. It's Bill Gates. He's in tech. And then they fall for that again. And it's even worse this year because they were doing this last year. Now, these scammers, these fishers, have bought ads like this. So you can just be watching like Dr. Disrespect or Us on Twitch, and there'll be a Twitch ad being like, hi, Reebok is doing a cryptocurrency deal. If you want to know more, here's the QR code for it. Scan with your wallet and get this deal from Reebok. And then it cuts back to me talking about my blockchain thing and my crazy hair, and you think, oh, cool, Nike commercial. And it's like, and Twitch thought it was a real commercial. They gave a thumbs up to it, but it's entirely a scam. So how can we avoid these sort of phishing things? And we're like now 2/3 of the way through. Couple of things. I'd like to say there's really easy stuff to do, and I will give some pointers, but there are some phishing attempts where you literally have to have them side by side and literally know what you're looking for in order to differentiate. There are some phishing scams where even experts get confused. They're that well done that they really look like the real thing. But you don't even have to go that far in order to pwn people. A lot of people, they just see It reminds me of a thing that happened at DEFCON when they were at Tribeca Film Festival, where they had these giant badges, and everyone was talking about, I wonder if we could actually make our own fake badge to check out the rest of Tribeca. And it was just nuts, because everyone was like, oh, no. They were like thinking like security people. It's like, you'd have to replicate this, and like they were trying to break down how to replicate the whole thing exactly. And I had to go over and be like, okay, as someone who does social engineering, here's what this ID looks like. All the security people are trained for is to see a giant picture, someone's name here, a tinfoil thing here, and a colored letter. When they look at that, that's all they're going to look for. If they can see all those things, they'll think it's a real thing. And people were nervous, but I convinced them enough to try it, and they did. They got a card, they found Angelina Jolie's face, they put it on there, and then they put in Kate Mitty. That's why they chose Angelina Jolie. They were going for acid burn from the movie Hackers, an obvious fake name, and who, like, Angelina Jolie is not here. And then they put the red letter A on it, which was one of we noticed, like, the staff, the high-ranking staff had red letter A's, and just took a random piece of holofoil, didn't have any images, it was just a plain blank holofoil that we got from something else, and just stuck that on there. And we all took turns, and we got to experience the rest of the con. We got to drink with Christopher Nolan in person and all sorts of stuff, because every security person thought that was a real ID. Because, again, they're not like there with a magnifying glass looking for this. They just see certain things. So, for example, there's a YouTube thing, right? They see trusted celebrity. It's being live. The title of even though the URL is probably completely different, the title of the YouTube says the live stream, it says Microsoft, and so that means this information on the bottom here about cryptocurrency must be true. And like, that's how they get you, is a lot of them are not even trying that much. They're assuming that you're not paying even the slightest attention. So here's a couple of things. One, check the URL. A lot of times what they do is, for example, with Yahoo, it might be YAH00.com. And because of certain fonts, those two zeros might, especially if you're looking at quick, might look like O's. They also might put a URL that says one thing, but when you highlight it, if you have a little pop-up or if you like have a thing to open it, you'll notice it's a completely different redirect URL. In fact, I probably should have had this. There are extensions you can install in Firefox and Chrome that will take out the redirect and will highlight if you're having a redirect, so that way you know exactly what the URL is. Also, if, for example, you're getting an email from Chase, let's say, instead of doing the email, call your bank or go to the actual bank's website. Type in, like, open up another tab, type in chase.com and contact your bank and ask them and let them know. 9 times out of 10, more like 10 times out of 10, they will identify that as a scam. So, like, again, go to a search engine, double check to see if that URL matches and the website looks the way it does. Regardless, things like this will not reach out. Like, for example, I know a lot of cryptocurrencies, they will actually do the airdrop where they give people free coins in the wallet. And they tell people, hey, you are only getting this in the wallet. Meaning if you get an email for this cryptocurrency that's like, enter this code and you get free, that's a lie. We only do this in the actual program wallet. So you have to have the program, to run it, and then it will check the official servers. And, like, obviously you can possibly pwn the network or the wallet, but that is way better than just simply relying on emails. A lot of systems have moved away from that. The last thing you could do in terms of in-browser stuff is there is an awesome extension that is open source on the GNU license that I've been using for years called Fishfort. I'm actually going to install it right now because this version of the browser doesn't have it, and you're not going to see probably the pop-ups for this, but I'm going to add the extension. And we got to this page where it says get started, and I'm gonna give you an example here. So first of all, I'm actually going to go in. I'm going to actually accept, and I should have did this first. I actually wonder if this will trigger Fishfort. So we'll see, because I have a test URL that I want to put in here. I was going to do that first, actually, before I did the extension. Okay, let's try that again. Hold on. We are almost done here, people. Apparently, here we go. That was bizarre. Let's say a Fishfort. Okay, so this one it didn't recognize. The cool thing about Fishfort is that if you encounter a fish that doesn't recognize, you can click the little icon in the upper right corner, and you can hit the button report scam, and that will log it, and then it'll look out for it. But this is a good example where you saw I posted in a URL and had all this garbage, but when it went to there, it says apple.com in perfect letters, and the HTTPS, the certificate passed. So it says apple.com and the certificate passed, but as you can see here, done by Zhao Zheng, this is obviously not affiliated with Apple, but this is how good sometimes when you even look at the URL, how well phishing works. And there's a whole link here where he explains how he manipulated the DNS and stuff in order to spoof this. And this is exactly where things like Fishfort can come in and be useful. So I'll give you an example, right? I'm going to go to myetherwallet.com, and this is an actual website. So when we go here, I don't know if you guys can see this, but basically the fish fort in the corner is now glowing green, and nothing happened. We went directly to the website. So this whole thing works, right? Now I have a different URL, right? We're going to go to my capital W Ether wallet. Now this might be something, if I didn't know what the URL is, this might look like a legit URL because a lot of cryptocurrency is named weird stuff. It might be hidden. It might actually say myetherwallet.com, but the actual URL is, thank you for letting me know, Oxzero. It might have this URL in it, but this is a false one. This is an actual scam that they used to demo Fishfort. So let's go to this one. And see, did that. Red screen, security warning. We've been identified with this as Fishfort in the past. This is dangerous. You have the option to go forward, which obviously I don't recommend, but usually Fishfort blocks the URL, and it was specifically designed for cryptocurrencies. Done. And again, if you found a URL like the one that we did where it spoofed Apple, I can go in, click on it, report this in, and when it gets like it gets a report, the people who program this look at it, and then when they update this, that will then be added, and it will also look out for it. But that, I just wanted to show that as an example that if you want to add like a cool program solution, Fishfort will definitely work. All right, so we're almost done here. So I'm going to quickly go through crypto mining. Crypto mining is this whole thing where it basically a network or a website or basically a malicious person hijacks the processes in your computer to mine cryptocurrency for you, for them. I talked a bit about this when we were talking about secure coins, and I brought up Monero because since Monero is proof of stake, and it's also has a lot of stealth features, meaning it only relies on the CPU, which is less noticeable and less taxing than a GPU, plus a lot of computers still do not have dedicated GPUs, as opposed to like Bitcoin where you need a high-level GPU to really mine, as well as I'm trying to get here because I'm going to probably end in like 10 minutes. It makes me really late for all this. And thank you, Alzori, for following us on Twitch. I will say again, if you follow, like, share, subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, or Facebook. Hi, everyone out there. And if you want to donate $1 or $3 to Child's Play, we're trying to reach $300. Still stuck at 15. I'm hoping this catches up for the end of the year. You can make a kid's 2020 suck less who is currently sick with COVID or has a debilitating illness or a disability or has suffered domestic abuse. So if you want to be a legit hacker Santa, donate $1, $5, $10, or $20 to Child's Play. We're going to be doing that until the new year. So yeah, but crypto mining. So that's why Monero is used the most, because you can basically do everything in a browser. It's proof of stake, so you're not doing a lot of mining, and even the process you're using, you're only really using the CPU. So I told I would go a bit more into this. So what crypto mining does is it either puts a program on your machine, whether it's your browser or your machine itself or on the network you're using, and or hijacks a processes, so it might actually hijack the browser itself, meaning there's not an additional program. It just modifies your browser, and basically will then take the CPU and also possibly GPU resources off of your machine while you're not noticing, and will basically, it's like so there's a whole thing about making money hand over fist, and that comes from the way you used to make money, where you took pieces of silver or precious metals and you would hit it with a mallet and that would cut the coin. A lot of those people who hammered out coins would either take the excess of that was stamped out, or take a little bit off the coin so it still weighed as much as a legit currency, but it was still off. And then as they collected those slivers, that would eventually grow out of control, and they would actually make good money on the side by doing that. Crypto mining is kind of like the lame cyberpunk is now a boring dystopia version of that, where they're taking slivers of your CPU usage, essentially using cloud mining without your consent in order to mine currency for yourself. And if this happens enough times or at enough of a demand, it will slow you and other systems down who are affected. I'm going to kind of go through things here a bit about how crazy this sort of crypto jacking happens. Some of the examples of this sort of stuff is Acronis, which directly attacks, if I remember correctly, I think it attacks directly your computer. It puts an actual program malware, I believe, on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Then there's also the Sumeru botnet, which directly goes after networks and basically takes over those networks and then makes a zombie bot. But instead of directly controlling the computers, it does it as a background process, as a daemon, and just crypto mines. And that's the entire Sumeru botnet. Varian's crypto miners is another common one that the Talos people looked at. This one went unknown for 2.5 years. That really shows how like subtle this is. And I will point out quick tips to try to avoid crypto mining. Then you have Graboid. This is nuts. This is crypto jacking by exploiting Docker images. Essentially, if you have Docker systems, it makes basically a Docker that is hard to see that's on your network, and that VM Docker just mines cryptocurrency and you don't even notice it's on your network. And then it also finds out other Dockers that you're connected to and other networks and users, and then because you're both friends, it spreads over to that, and thus that's why it's known as a worm. I just think this is because I know a lot of people who deal with Docker and Kubernetes and stuff. So like, yeah, you can basically crypto as long as it's a computational machine that's not like steampunk or like analog. If it's a digital machine, you can do crypto mining on it. This was nuts. There were several crypto jacking apps that somehow got approval on the Microsoft Store last year. So the official Microsoft We Look at Everything and Approve It store didn't look hard enough, and several of these like program apps for both your computer and your phones were actual. You can see the mining script here where it does the fast search light, and that's the image for the app, and it's done as a UPM or universal app. That's the IP that it sends all of the information to, and then it just starts mining. It's in the Google tag area. Like, this is insane. Like, and this is something Microsoft approved this on their store. And this has also happened with Android, and I think this happened to possibly iOS once for the iOS store. It's pretty insane. They also component cloud networks. So if you're using like AWS and stuff, we can get AWS stuff that's infected that will end up crypto mining. This is a crazy one where someone exploited the RTorrent client and basically was mining Monero directly from the torrent client as people were using it using XML RPC methods. It's just, that's insane. And then I think finally here we go. Oh, that's the same Graboid one again. My bad. A little bit of what's phishing. Yeah, and this is quick examples of phishing attacks where so they hacked Electrum. Basically, they phished information. Basically, they faked a security update, and then when you updated it, it acted like it rebooted your wallet and then asked for the address, and that worked on all these common Ethereum wallets. And so a bunch of those wallets, basically, they social engineered the user to give the key to access their wallet, and all the wallets stolen combined, they stole $900,000 from this attack. This is the famous BTC stolen attack, where basically that's one of the people complaining on GitHub for the Electrum wallet for this. I think that's pretty fun and nuts. And then this is hilarious in terms of my brain just died. Both a phishing attempt and crypto mining. This was Google, even extensions on the Google extension store. There was a group of malicious hackers who made the website instead of MetaMask, which is we're going to deal with this early next year. This is a extension you can put in Chrome or Firefox and multiple different browsers that basically puts a wallet using Electrum in your browser, so it's not a separate app, and thus it can also directly interface with the website. It's one of the building blocks for what's called Web 3.0 or decentralized web, or DApp web. But instead of, I think, metamask.com, it was installmetamask.com. And what's even worse is that they put their website in and they clicked all the same credentials as MetaMask, and the Google Chrome store thought it was a legitimate alternative to MetaMask and update it, so people looking for MetaMask found this one, which looks exactly like MetaMask, except the URL is installmetamask.com if you went directly to the website. And this is literally a complete copy pasta job of their website, like perfectly down. And when people downloaded that and they put in their like keys for their Ethereum and Bitcoin and Litecoin, all of that was actually going into the pockets of the phishers instead of like this guy here, instead of the actual MetaMask app. So like that, I think that's like absolutely crazy. So as I said about that was just phishing, but let's go back to coinjacking. How do you go against coinjackers? Well, most modern browsers, except maybe Google Chrome, usually have a built-in cryptojacking system. In fact, I know for a fact that Firefox, and we can actually show this here, we're going to go into options. Oh, thank you for hosting us, Benjamin. But if you go to privacy and security here, even under standard, you'd actually have to go into custom, take this out. You can see here, it blocks a lot of things, but one of them is crypto miners. So if you get Firefox, which I recommend, Firefox is recommended by privacytools.io. You basically take it, reconfigure its settings, and you can harden Firefox, even modern day Firefox, to be a good security browser for browsing web stuff. Not bulletproof. There is no proof anything, just more secure. Brave will block crypto miners. You can actually see the episode I did back in October about that. It will do that. It will block social media trackers and crypto miners and fingerprinting reasonably well, especially crypto miners. There are other problems with Brave that I personally don't like that I talked about in that episode, especially policy-wise. So just that's why I'm like, you can use Brave. I won't harp on anyone for using Brave. I just like to warn people that, you know, Brave has its own trust issues, especially with the open source community and just other scandals that have started off minor but have snowballed where it's broken trust with people. But Brave will block those. Also to note that Opera, which we're going to notice in a moment, will block them as well by default. But Opera is owned by a Chinese company, and not only is it its VPN sucks, but its VPN and its URL stuff routes stuff to another Chinese company that pretty much sells your data. So just let you know. Can you make any difference? I don't know what you mean by that. If you can clarify for that, Benjamin, please let me know about can you make any difference? But I'm going to go back to here. So again, Firefox, as you can see here, and always check your options. And under the privacy and security tab of a browser, it should say something about blocking crypto miners. VPN, yeah, that's why I usually do Tor. I also think the Tor browser, the Tor browser, I believe, also blocks crypto miners by default. Did it way before Firefox did. But just want to note that they normally do that. If you're still worried about that, there are multiple extensions you can get that are coin mining blockers that have a list of known stuff from like Pirate Bay and things to block. I would say like literally NoCoin, NoMiner, or Coin Eater are probably the best you're gonna do, especially between NoCoin and Coin Eater. Will do. Although I said again, most of these browsers block by default, but if you're just extra worried, or maybe you're using a Firefox deliverant or a browser deliverant that can take extensions but doesn't have that enabled by default, like I don't know if this does either, but maybe WaterFox doesn't, you can install an extension to have a peace of mind. And actually to prove that, unfortunately it does not exist anymore. That makes me mad that Opera took this down, but to basically promote the fact that cryptojacking exists. They used to have a thing called cryptojackingtest.com. Doesn't exist as a way back version where you can test if the crypto, so you go to this website and hit start, and it would scan by doing crypto mining stuff, and if it can't break through, which you should notice in a moment, it says you're protected. And I used to use that as a resource all the time. Unfortunately, again, that website does not exist anymore. I'll give you a 404 hour Opera. Shame on you. You should have left that website up, and that even more tells that you were just promoting for yourself that you block cryptojacking, you were not legit giving something for the community. I've actually thought of trying to see how Opera actually does its cryptojacking testing and making like running an independent website for like $5 a month that would do that for everyone. So Firefox and Brave, real quick. So real quick rundown, even though I covered it in a previous episode. Firefox uses its own rendering engine, and it's also highly customizable open source. Brave is based on Chromium, and it's also customizable and open source. While both have their issues, Firefox at least is so configurable that you can do all those issues out. Brave has some things. One, the Chrome part is still built in to some degree, and we can't really tell if it's properly edited out with like tracking from Google. And two is that Brave has had instances in the past. Again, you can look up those October episodes of Crypto Barons where they've done skeevy stuff where I personally don't want to use it and recommend it, even though I do use it occasionally for just some testing things. But if you want to use it, you can. It's just, as I covered in that episode, there is cautions about it. And then the last thing that I want to do, and we're going to go on for 2 more minutes, and then I'm super late to this thing I have to go into. So I'm doing this all for your folks. And again, if anyone wants to donate $1 or $5 to Child's Play to make a sick, ill, disabled child's day during the holiday season this month and make 2020 go out in a bang instead of a whimper, please do that. I'm going to post the link again in chat right now. If you also have any questions in chat or comments or anything that's appropriate, please let me know. That's the link to donate. If you're in Twitch, you can scroll down. We have a widget for that. Also, if you want to click like in that, hit that bell, like, and subscribe to Twitch Live and DTube. We get notifications for that as well as the donations, and I cheer people on. Otherwise, keep lurking and keep learning. I'm really enjoying this episode. It's just I'm kind of like we're basically at the end, but I'm in a little bit of a hurry here. So the last thing you can do, there's a thing you can type in the URL that you can go here faster, but in particularly Firefox, you should be able to go into an options and find like a more tab. And in that more tab, there should be something that's like a task manager or a browser manager. If you click that for Firefox, it's about performance. And it basically, it's like the task manager you would see on Windows or like a Linux system, but it's for all the tabs and browser processes. And this is good because as you can see, everything is low to medium here. The high-end stuff is just some of the IPFS stuff and YouTube stuff that I forgot to close. If any of them go, like if these bars go halfway to medium or go into high, that means that tab is probably tab-napped you. It's taken over that tab and process, and it's crypto mining through the browser. So if you don't hear, which sometimes when it's crypto mining, you'll hear the fan kicked in, open up the task manager on your computer or look up the CPU, GPU usage in your computer. If you're suspecting it's the browser, go to a more tab of your Chrome or Firefox browser, because those are the most common types. Hit more and then find the task manager for that. And if you see any processes into mid-medium and beyond into like high or extreme, that means your browser's probably using for crypto mining. You need to close that tab, maybe like back up your bookmarks, reinstall your browser, and never go to that, blacklist that URL. Report that to Fishfort, never use that again. I think that's mostly it, I think. That's what I do. Oh, last quick one. And actually I want to do 2 more pwned things here. Hardware wallets are also not immune to phishing and hacks. Ledger earlier this year had a hack where basically they said your funds were safe, but basically the main servers were compromised, so ledgers were getting updated where those updates were trying to tunnel and expose the private and public keys for the Ledger Nano wallets here. There's like a whole thing here. Yeah, their core company, their centralized thing that manages all the different updates for the wallets were hacked, and basically 1 million customer emails were exposed. So even though the finances didn't go out, there was like email and other information that you normally submit to Ledger in order to set up the wallet that people had access to here. I wonder if DLive is web mining. That's a good question because I'll put it this way. Brave's BAT token is essentially a mostly consent legalized version of what Pirate Bay was doing, where they were like basically using your browser to crypto mine, except what Brave does is it asks you if you want to opt in, and when it crypto mines, it's not really using CPU sources. It's actually looking for how long you view certain websites and interact with their ads that pop up, which I hate. And based on that, it basically uses that as the mining, and then it generates a BAT token. But it's like the same principle. part of it is that the mining will take tolls on your programs, apps, and machines. But a bigger thing about this is consent. Is that if no one's telling you you're doing this, this is, it's literally like a parasite. But I just want to let you know that even if you're not dealing with software, like, oh, I have a hardware wallet, it's a cold storage wallet, they can't get me. Well, the information you provide to these wallet manufacturers could be exposed, and because you have to sync to get updates for this, and it's a centralized syncing system, all this stuff can easily be pwned. Yeah, at least they're asking for consent. Again, if you go back to the October episode, it's called "We Can't Stop Here. This is Bat Country," or "We Can't Hack Here. This is Bat Country." It's one of the 2 October episodes on Crypto Barons on our YouTube. I do go into the problem with Brave and consent that started off really good and then it just kept getting worse from there. So I'm not going to reiterate, but just want to go into that. The last thing that I want to bring up are what called exit scams. Now, I couldn't find the super funny exit scam that I love, but what exit scams are is when someone sets up an exchange or some sort of service that you have to donate either fiat money or cryptocurrency in, and it builds up all of this like collection, like all these wallets and stuff, and then because they have all the backdoor access to these wallets, they just take all the money, the website goes down, and they bolt, and you never see them again. It's basically like, imagine a bank pop up, like an independent bank, and people invest, and it's there for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden you go there, and the bank physically is not there, and the documentation doesn't say they existed. There's like an empty facade where the bank used to be. There's no logos, all sorts of stuff like that. And so there's a lot of these exit scams, and they're really common in cryptocurrency because, again, this is very new. People don't know how to watch out for with scams and stuff. So it's, new tech. It's like when microwaves first started, where people thought you could put your like dog in the microwave and it would dry it off and not make it explode, which is what it did. So it's just easy for people to fall into these type of things. And these are some examples, like the YFDEXF.finance, 20 million in defrauding investors who invested in it. Loopex did an exit scam. See, that's a site can't get reached. 4.5 million ICO and then bolted. Look at that Elon Musk confident thing. Harvest Finance. Basically, they had this is interesting because basically, once again, it was like they said that hackers got into their farming protocol and drained $44 million, but I think it turned out later that the unknown attacker in their buddy protocol was some of the employees of that exchange, and they were basically packing it up and kicking it out of there. I believe that is it. So, real quick, I know I said this is going to be the shortest episode. We basically streamed for like an hour and a half. We just covered the whole gambit, most of the gambit so far, of scams and hacks in cryptocurrency. So let's just do the overview, and then I will try to give out some lemons. If you're on D-Live, we'll rate a stream on Twitch, and then I have to go, and hopefully I didn't miss too much on the live streams that I really need to go on because I want to support my friends. So let's go over some of the scam things we learned. So what we've learned is we've learned in terms of hacks, there's multiple different. Blockchain is not a god thing where you set up a blockchain and it never gets hacked. You can manipulate blocks. You can convince all the ledgers when they do the verification to agree to stuff. You can pwn the multi-signatures. You can convince people to willingly give up their own keys and access to things, both the developer and individual users with wallets. You can also manipulate the voting system that does the verification, hence the 51% attack. And a lot of it comes down to oversights in coding, bad coding, and people not caring. You mix that with money and people and the type of scams. Essentially, cryptocurrencies are the same. None of these type of scams are new. Ponzi schemes been around for a couple hundred years. Again, named after a wonderful guy named Ponzi that eventually got hanged. That it's just these are now in the digital age, and with Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies being more new to people, even technology people and finance people, you're going to be seeing a lot of this. So simple scams, we covered Ponzi schemes such as the Onecoin and how to look out for things like look to see if they have actual code, even if the coin's not implemented. Well, one, if it's not implemented, wait until it is. Two, see if they actually have any form of code, even if it's a demo, even if it's incomplete code. Look to see if it has a white paper. Look to see if it's on currency exchange. Get the name of the thing you're looking up, whether it's cryptocurrency, an exchange, some sort of investment deal. Type it into DuckDuckGo or YouTube, YouTube or Google or whatever, and see what comes up. Ask people around. Reach out to people like me. DM us on Twitter and stuff. a lot of research. What they count on is that you're not going to look this stuff up. And so we learned the Ponzi schemes. We went over all these different types of hacks due to bad coding and bad schemes. We also looked up a bunch of bad hombre companies who do crazy stuff like exit scams, where they literally build a business just in order to just run away with all the money and you never see them again. We've seen scams where people pretend to get hacked to move money to another account so they don't have to deal with it. And the other big thing with cryptocurrency in particular is we have seen phishing, which is when it's a type of particular social engineering where organizations look like digitally, whether it's an email or a website or a phone call, like they're legit, but they're not. And as I said, type their name in Google, find their official website. Like if you get a message from Chase, go to physically your local Chase bank or call Chase. The same thing with cryptocurrency. Reach out to the actual cryptocurrency foundation. Just because they have advertisements doesn't mean these exchanges and stuff are real. You have to do your own research. If you're worried about browser stuff, install Fishford. If you're worried about crypto jacking, where people are mining directly from a browser machine, check your task manager on your computer or in your browser to see the CPU, GPU usage. If they spike randomly, if you hear the fan kick on when you're not playing video games, and you're not on the New York Times website, you might be getting crypto jacked. And again, with phishing, check to see if the little padlock is green. Even so, check to see where the URL comes from. Compare it. And in general, don't click on links that you get in your email. Again, if you get an email from Chase, go to Chase's website. If you get an email from Coinbase, go to Coinbase's website. Don't click on the link in those. So last question I'm going to get is, what is your opinion on gambling websites that use crypto? That's a completely new field. I'm going to cover them next year. There's two types. There are cryptocurrencies that are used as gambling tokens, which I think is more of like a feature through casinos and stuff already have physical systems like RFIDs and stuff that verify the actual betting tokens that you bet with in casinos, and they have that really locked down. So cryptocurrency, especially whether it's in person or digital, is kind of the next step of that. And then there's also websites that take things like Bitcoin and Monero, and you can gamble on stuff. There are some legit ones. In fact, there's one that I'm hopefully entering next year where you basically donate X amount of a very small amount of Bitcoin, and there's celebrities in and stuff, and it's a giant celebrity poker game, but you're using Bitcoin and you're raising money to fight COVID or cancer or whatever. Those are backed up by legit organizations, and they're cool. But a lot of them, again, it's like a real casino. If it looks run down and stuff, and it's also a casino, do you really trust them with your money? Just saying there. So that was all it. I'm sorry if it seemed like we breezed through this really fast, but we got to look at some code. We got to look at all different types of hacks and scams, 51% attacks, phishing, Ponzi schemes, and exit scams, and crypto jacking, and that covers most of the stuff for cryptocurrency. And before we leave, and before I do some lemons and raid, and then I have to go and do the thing I need to do, I want to talk about a little bit real quick about what our final episode of the year will be. So just to remind everyone, our last meeting of the year will be next Friday. That is December 18th. I think it's going to start at 6 p.m. We'll see, but it's going to happen December 18th. We're going to make an announcement in a day or two with all the details about that. Archvile Linux Perspective will be on the 17th and the 24th. That's this Thursday and next Thursday. Really cool games there. Hackall and Commander should be on the 16th and possibly the 30th. We're going to do a special live stream from the 27th to the 30th, and then we have a super special live stream we're going to do where you get to hang with us for New Year's in a very awesome special way with fun activities you don't want to miss. And we have the Master of Unlocking. Again, the last Master of Unlocking for Lockpickers is on the 20th, so that's this is next Sunday. And the last Crypto Barons for this year, I'm gonna still do Crypto Barons next year. It's not like these shows are ending; these are just before the end of 2020. Will be on December 26th, the fourth Saturday. It's gonna be the last one of the year, and don't leave left, Benjamin. I want to give some lemons, and I just want to quickly go over what we're going to cover. Again, I kind of breezed through this, and I want to kind of detail a bit more about what phishing is. So I'm actually going to show everyone how a person who's a social engineer who knows their code and tools can create a phishing website, and how honestly easy it is to do. I'm going to curse myself by saying that. But then which is what we're going to cover on the 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is, where is this stuff? Oh, one last thing. If you want to do one central exchange that's pretty secure, you should try Kraken instead of Coinbase. Coinbase has better insurance, but if you want like the top 10 cryptocurrencies and stuff with security, they literally have armed guards at their facility. They have 2FA, YubiKey. They take all their stuff really seriously. They don't use phone or SSL recovery. They're really, really good. Hi, Amanudu. Hi from Senegal. I hope Senegal is... I was going to say warmer than it is here, but it's strangely warm in New Jersey. It's like mid-50s now. It's global warming. It's crazy. But I will tease by going to our main website that what we are going to be covering on our last episode is, believe it or not, and I think this is appropriate for the season, is that there are cryptocurrencies that religions have made. Yes, holy cryptocurrencies. Literally, holy cryptocurrencies. Where you can, cryptocurrency is right next to godliness. So that's going to be our last episode of this year on the 26th. I hope everyone learned a lot from this. Again, if you want to see probably a recap, it'll be a bit on Twitch and DLive for a couple of days, but you can go to our YouTube and eventually our PeerTube and find that out. I'm going to switch back to Face here. The first thing I'm going to do before we switch over is I am going to go to DLive, and we're going to do a lemon treasure chest drop. Let's see. Can they even be traded? Yes, they can. I don't want to spoil everything, but the crazy part is, except for one I'm going to cover, they're actually insanely comprehensive, and they're real cryptocurrencies that work. Oh, 26 degrees. See, you're having warm during the day, but it's like, I don't know. That sounds cooler than what we're having. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to go, so I'm going to go my channel. We're going to hopefully do this real quick. Let's see. So we have our lemon chest. I'm going to put in a decent amount. And now we're going to distribute those. So in the next 30 seconds, if you are on DLive, you're going to get some lemons. It's not going to be the biggest amount of lemons. I'm going to try to put a lot of lemons on the 26th. So you get a lot of lemons before the end of the year. But that's some lemons for you, for all of you out there who are in DLive. And again, if you want to donate lemons or bits, or want to follow us on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, we get notifications for that. If you really want to make us happy, even if we're not live streaming, please donate to Child's Play. Child's Play is run by the Penny Arcade people. We went to Penny Arcade Expo earlier this year in Boston, Massachusetts. Back before like everyone was like rubbing their butts together, spreading COVID everywhere, and cops were shooting people in the face just for having a face. We're just looking for something to raid, and they're a really awesome group of gamers organizations. We hope to come back there June in 2021, provided that everyone gets like the vaccine that doesn't kill you. And what do you call it? Let's see. Do we want to do Chelsea Manning or Project Melody? I'm trying to think what we should possibly do. Actually, real quick, I just want to quickly look and see if anyone is in cryptocurrency streaming that we've never done before, like one that's not like a chart. So let's see here. Is there anyone like streaming? I think we're the only one streaming on here, sadly. Let's see. You know what? Even though we're probably gonna host something later, yeah, you know what? We're gonna do something trusted. So I'm either gonna pick Chelsea Manning, or I'm gonna pick the AI bot Project Melody, and we're gonna go raid her if you're on Twitch. So I don't know if anyone got lemons, but if you did, congratulations for getting those lemons. We're now gonna raid someone on Twitch here. That's appropriate. Like, give people allergies. I will say this. That's always a risk when you do vaccines. I will say that the risk of you getting an allergy from vaccine is extremely low, and getting something that's an extreme reaction is also really low. So, and also for a lot of those reactions, there are proper countermeasures. And again, just like any form of medicine, there are exceptions, and they're rare, but they do happen. So I'm not saying like, oh, vaccines are perfectly safe or anything. No, and we should like be concerned about like what drug companies are putting into things, but the idea that like vaccines give people autism and like, you know, that it's the 666 thing and stuff is just, it's just so it's just that's not viable either, you know. It's like, you know, this is why we have the FDA and stuff to overlook things here. So, You know, we need to do science. You know, actually do science instead of pointing fingers everywhere. So anyhow, we're gonna go raid this on Twitch again. Thank you all for who watch Crypto Barons. I hope you learned a bunch on here. I certainly did doing this. I unfortunately now have to go off. And Cat Daddy, nice to see you, Mema and JoJo. We're about to actually exit the screen. You should be able to get this later on YouTube and stuff. So I hope to see you on the next Crypto Barons on the 26th, and I hope to see you at the next DEFCON 201 meeting on December 18th, as well as Hack All and Commander next Wednesday, and Archvile Linux Perspective this Thursday. You can check us out if you want to know more details about our shows and things at defcon21.org, and you can follow us on social media, such as our Twitter as defcon201nj, or Instagram defcon201, or hostducks.socials, Mastodon instance, GitHub, all the things. And please, when you can, donate to Child's Play. I am literally going to copy and paste that link one last time in chat. And let's make some kids 2020s who are sick, injured, and mentally ill really awesome time. Let's all be Hacker Santa. So anyhow, that's it for me on Crypto Barons, the guy with the crazy hair at the actual blockchain. Hope you all have a good night. Hope you enjoy the stream we're going to raid. Hope you enjoyed those lemons on D Live. Hack the planet. Jersey represent. And I'll see you at our meeting at December 18th. And I will see you at the last Crypto Barons, where we cover holy biblical religious coins on December 26th. Peace. Enjoy the crypto there, blocks and hashes. And enjoy the music.